Okay, so the YouTuber's name is Matt Wilkins. Uh, he really does go in depth on a lot of the Ewok stuff, and it's really cool. He definitely loves Ewoks. You see him in the background. He covers everything. I watched them, but I wanted to get more. Like I said, sometimes I'll watch something just to get a flow. So yeah, check out his YouTube channel. It's really cool. It was really cool of him to do it. And you know what? I'm going to put this in the beginning of the video. But yeah, the guy's name is Matt Wilkins. He actually reviews all the Ewok stuff. I did my first two reviews, and then for the cartoon show, I wanted to. Kind of weird because he definitely reminded me of like Gargamel and stuff, where he's like ah. So yeah, there's that too. But I'll put this in the beginning instead of the end. But the guy's name is Matt Wilkins. Check out his YouTube channel. He talks a lot about Star Wars. Um, Funny enough, he kind of came across the same stuff I did, where you definitely see, and he actually does, I think, go a little bit more in depth than me, where he talks about how the Ewoks, not the Ewoks, the droids too, because he talks about those, and how you see a lot of things from those to the prequels. I noticed the same thing. So I was just, like I said, sometimes I'll just check out people just to see how they're talking about it or what they're saying. Michelangelo, stay still. And yeah, so basically that's it. Enjoy the video. And see you soon. Hello. There we go. I am the geek protagonist. And as such, I have another thing to record. So, I did Return of the Jedi, but if you're going by the actual natural order of things, there is something that came after Return of the Jedi. And it was not the Disney ones yet. So, droids did appear after Return of the Jedi, but droids actually took place before. Uh, there's like a gap before prequels and Star Wars Episode 4. So, Ewoks, the cartoon show that actually lasted for 2 seasons, that took place after Return of the Jedi. So, so basically, the Ewoks ran from 1985 to 1986, and from 1986 to 1987. I don't know if the Ewoks are in the continuity anymore after what the person said, but I know they were in the continuity for a long time. The Ewok cartoon show, like I told you, the Ewoks was big for quite a bit. I think 87 is when they started to sputter off. Because remember, Return of the Jedi came out in 1983. So for a kid like myself, when I actually started to get the wherewithal to watch Star Wars, all three of the movies were available by the time I was a kid. So first and foremost, it's funny because when you watch the Ewoks thing, it kind of reminds you of shows like the Snorks, the Smurfs, um, the Littles, like things like that. Basically, they were there to sell toys. Um, I like to have a little Ewok, just start a little Star Wars collection. I got some Finn Pop. I got Finn and a Pop. But anyway, this show it didn't really have any references like where it harked back like Droids did, where you can clearly see some of the influences. Ewoks felt more like they were trying to give you more ideal and backstory, or a little bit to the Ewoks themselves. Uh, and then they had these like empires, which was also interesting because you did see it a little bit in the Ewok movies. But they had like the Sunstone people, the Moonstone people, and like it was just kind of Sunstone and the sub part and the Empire kind of comes at you, so that way it goes back to Star Wars, like they show up a little bit. Uh, it's let you know though that Kaz got Nada while Admiral Screed. You explore Endor on this show with the weird creatures like the Dulocs. Um, an Ewok that gets a lot of shine in this show is like Paplo, Chirpa, Wicket. Wicked actually shows up throughout all of them. He was the main one in the movies. It's the guy from Willow. He was the main one in the movies. He was the yeah, it's like Mr. Davis. That was his name. I can't remember his first name right now. But anyway, he's like showed up in the movies. He was the main one in the two TV movies. Uh, Basically, well, I said movies twice, but he was the one that was in Returns. He's the one that's in the prequel movies, and he's one of the main characters of this cartoon show. There's also Nisawa, Latara, Logray, and Milani. Now, I did notice that in this cartoon show particularly, there are more varieties on their colors. Like where the Ewoks a lot of times have like shades of brown, they really look like bears, like shades of like brown and stuff. These one will come in like in your eye, you would notice they're more colorful, how they wore clothes, they had jewelry. It was a bit jarring because like you would see one that was like blue, sky blue. Like it looked like the Care Bears just jumped up in there because there would be like ones that were sky blue, ones that were kind of like light. Wicket was even a lighter shade, while like Low Gray was more gray. Then you had ones that was like, okay, this one's kind of pushing towards orange. So, but you know, it was that 80s kind of cartoon cheese. This one was a little rough because it was still, like I said, more of the whole lessons thing. Because you got like a guy like the Earth guy who's like the Leaf King. Uh, like I said, it had that Care Bear, Smurf, Snork feel. It felt more like it definitely felt like an add-on, but it felt more like a hey add-on fun thing over here. It didn't stand out. Droids to me actually did stand out a little more. They had a little bit more stronger stories. This one definitely was pushed towards a younger audience. Um, but there are some things that I did find out. So, for example, you would see something like a dancing tree. But how this actually worked was the tree was actually what the Ewoks saw when it was like the wind hitting the tree, and to them they would humanize it. They when you see the crying mountain, it was a guy who worked on the series. He actually explained it because he said that the reason why they were so shocked they got season 2. I was researching this a little bit, and apparently there's another YouTuber. I can't remember his name. I'm so sorry. You know what? I'm gonna find his name and I'm gonna put his link in the description, or at least his name in the description below, because no, he should have credit for this. Because as I was researching, I actually came across this video. If you research him, he's a guy with low brown hair. He actually loves the Ewoks. He talks about the Ewoks a lot in a very fond light. But he actually talked to the person that worked on Ewoks, and he explained how they did it. So what they did in those movies, that was people using the Force. So when you see the lady turn to the Raven and things, and you see some stuff in this that looks more magical, but it's actually how they interpreted the Force and how they used it. And the thing is that when the Ewoks see something, which by the way, when you look at the movie, for example, you'll see like Wicket have a horse and he'll have like a boat and he'll fly the horse and land the horse. That and she goes, that's not a starship, that's a horse. And I'm using that as an example because like for that for Cindy to explain it, that's how the Ewoks did it. It's kind of like when they talked about the Native Americans saw the ships and how they saw them. So basically they would take things and interpret it as ancient cultures used to. You would see the thunder, you go, okay, that must be a god or something like that, and they're lightning and they're upset, that must be Zeus. So when you saw so when they were dealing with the crying mountain, or they were dealing with the windy tree that was angry or something, what it actually was that they were seeing like the mountain would have the rain come down and a lot of the water would run off. So to them they interpreted it as a crying mountain, so they would go on an adventure to do something to stop the crying, but the natural course of things would actually stop it, so then they would think that they were doing it, and that's how they interacted with their environment. So when they would see something, or they would see like a rock with moss on it and it had kind of look like a little face on it, to them they were actually talking to a talking rock. The thing is that that's how they also interpreted the Force. So when you see like Logray, for example, use certain little magic things, and of course it was the 80s magic with a little sparkle, and something would do. It was actually, and he would move it, but it was actually the Force. So that's what this cartoon show did. If you haven't seen it, give it one watch. It'll remind you of the 80s. It's such 80s cheese. Um, and it had a lot of little factors. Wicked was like, a little wild one, but that's why he was the popular one, because he kind of was a little bit rebellious. It was interesting to see, like, I think it was Pablo. Do I remember correctly? Was it Pablo? No, it was Milani. So Milani, for example, kind of looked like a debutante. Like she actually like so when you look at the Ewoks, even in the Ewok movies, they usually have like a hood on, they have like a spear, they're kind of naked, they look like teddy bears and they're walking around. But in this they act, they may have a little extra here. They look very tribal. So they either look like cartoon things that something like a Bugs Bunny who just walks around without clothes except for gloves, or it would look more a different way where they would like be tribal looking. These ones actually had clothes. You would see them in dresses. You would see them sometimes with just pants and no shirt. Sometimes you would just see them in clothes, and it was kind of interesting because it was like, okay, so this is how you're interpreting, but it at first when I was watching it, because I don't remember, I think I only watched a couple episodes of Ewoks when I was a kid, but watching it through, and they got their 2 seasons, it's about 35 episodes. I think what ended up happening was I was like, oh, I get it. Think about it. If a kid is watching it and they all kind of look the same, it's a little bit harder for them to differentiate. But if you start making them different colors, personalities, clothing, a kid can relate to that and go, okay, well, you wear a hat, pearls, and this, so you must be Milani. Ah, you're Wicked because you have a hood on and just pants. Oh, you're low grade because you're gray and you have a hood on, but you actually have a full outfit. Like, kind of like that. If you like the Ewoks, I say give this cartoon a watch. It's not easy to get these cartoons or even the droids to get all the episodes. You can find the ones where you can. You may have to go a different route if you get my drift. I have seen droids at some conventions, but Lord knows with everything going on when the convention is going to happen again. But if you go to like different conventions and gatherings and get-togethers, you will see sometimes a droids thing in there, and they'll have the full cartoon. I found it a different way. I actually found it on YouTube, like the episodes at random, but I made sure I marked off all the episodes. I don't know if they're still there. Sometimes they get removed. I do apologize. I don't remember the guy who did it, but like I said, I'm going to put his description below. He talks about Star Wars and stuff, and he actually goes in pretty in depth on a lot of the things as well with the Ewoks and stuff. So I'm going to put his description below, and I might actually tag his name on. I'm going to actually look him up, and you know what? I'm going to tag his name on also at the end of this video. This guy deserves props. When I needed to find out certain pieces of information, or kind of like just to relate to add more meat to this video and my Ewoks videos as a whole, he did. The reason why this one's a little shorter is because I actually watched all the Ewok stuff in succession. So the cartoon show of 35 episodes is not too much to talk about. Like I said, they had some, the crazy little things, and they had the crazy little goofy, just like the Ewoks did in the movies. I tripped, fell, rolled down a hill, and I found a cave, and now we go into the cave, and boom. Like, I'm just making stuff up. But yeah, so I would say give it a watch. The kids can like it. I do have to say, I think the animation was a little, this is a point I will give to it. It was a little bit more solid than the other one. Like sometimes in droids, because it was the droid Ewok hour or power hour or whatever, you would see them with 4 fingers, then 5 fingers, and 2 fingers. And then it's like, okay, sometimes you would see them with this face, then you would see them with that face. Like, it was weird. They would have derp sometimes. But this one, I don't know why. It seemed like when they were working on it, and apparently George Lucas did talk to the animators, at least from afar, saying he really loved it, and that's how they got a second season. But Lucas was really pushing those Ewoks. But then on top of that, it's way more kid thing, where the other one had more story, and it was still geared for kids, but there was ongoing story that would last a few episodes, and it actually had an arc, and things would happen. Sometimes people would like go and pass away. This one kind of, like I said, think of Smurfs, Snorks, the Littles, and Care Bears, and you pretty much have this. It was an alright watch. Like I said, would I own these for my Star Wars collection? Of course, because I'm a completionist nut. So yeah, but it's not like required viewing. I would say check it out one time just to be like, hey, I watched it and see what it was about. It wasn't terrible or nothing. It just, it had that 80s kid cheese. So yeah, that's pretty much what I gotta say. Like I said, I'm gonna look up the guy and I'm gonna tag him on at the end of the video, and I'm also gonna put his name in the description because the guy deserves props. when there was information or I wanted a little bit more for these movies and get a different perspective, because I had mine, but I wanted to see someone who really loved it, it was that guy. So this is the Geek Protagonist. Just wait for a second and you will, I'll say his name at the end. Thank you. Just wanted to add a couple villains that stood out to me was Morag, Stranger. That one was very interesting. I think Korag. So I'll put an image on here. Just a quick cut in while I'm editing. I just realized I was like, oh, I named some of the villains. So I'll put an image there so you see them. All right, see ya. Thanks for sticking with me with the video. Just remember, I put one at the beginning. I'm putting one at the end. The YouTuber's name is Mathew Wilkins. If you're interested in some of the Star Wars stuff, some of the Ewoks, I've only watched his Ewok stuff. Definitely check him out and see what it's about. Now on to the outro. Hey, thank you for visiting my channel. This is the Geek Protagonist. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Please, it'll really help me out on the channel if you actually share these videos. If you like what I'm doing, please hit that bell notification. Hit it, click. This way you won't miss any of my videos. Also, there's a thing on there that says personal and all. Hit the all. This way you'll get them every time for the notifications. I'm trying to, grow, trying to do commentary about what's going on. And I want to thank you again. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay real. This is the Geek Protagonist. I'm out, and I'll see you.